When we arrive at Ratale area within Riaki village, Silas Kidinji Kamui ushers us into his home. He takes us to the backyard, past the vast tea plantation, and finally stops at his mother's grave.
How to avoid?
He makes this trip often. Beatrice Shiekunye was the matriarch of her family until she was laid to rest in June 2018. It all started when she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2015.
She was operated, and from there she was put directly under chemotherapy, and she underwent almost 20 sessions of chemotherapy, which took a heavy toll on her health.
Silas says that the number of deaths caused by cancer in this area has sent a wave of shock.
A village which has been created as a cancer village, because the statistics for the last 5 years, we have been able to lose several people. Over 16 people have lost their lives because of different types of cancers, and currently around 8 others are undergoing radiotherapy, chemotherapy sessions in different hospitals in Kenya.
Linda Muthoni Kimathi, a neighbor across the road from Silas, passes by on her way to the market. She takes a moment to allow us into her own compound. She is dealing with a double blow of cancer. Her mother and mother-in-law are bedridden and battling the disease.
Mamu ni throat cancer na yayo ya mama-in-law ni ya mguu.
The burden of cancer has weighed down heavily on Linda and her family, emotionally, socially, and financially.
Kwanza hii area yenye nimetoka hii inaitwa Ratale. Iko na watu zaidi ya 20 wale wameathirika, wengine wamekufa na wengine wameathirika juu ya hii ugonjwa.
A few meters from this home, we find Ezekiel Bundi Peter. This is a case of the same script, different cast. His 35-year-old wife lies in their home, unable to move and carry out house chores as was in the past. Cancer of the tongue has rendered her immobile.
Usaidizi hatuwezi pata. Ukienda hospitali yoyote hauwezi pata usaidizi. Ukienda hata level 5 hospital huko Meru huwezi pata. Undumu unaambiwa daktari hayuko siku hiyo. Ukapewa hata miezi 2 ama 3.
30-year-old Stephen Karethi has been in devastating pain over the last couple of months as he tries to get treatment for mouth cancer.
Nikipimwa saa zingine ugonjwa unakosekana, ninatibiwa na mandawa tu. Mpaka wakati ule mwingine ikakuwa ni hiyo ugonjwa ya kansa. Nilikuwa na kansa ya mdomo na nikaendelea na matibabu kule Kenyatta.
The case is not any different for 70-year-old Henry Mbiti, who is battling cancer of the blood, also known as leukemia, which has spread to his lungs. These are just a few of the many cancer victims in this village perched on the hilly tea-growing fringes of Nyambene forest. To many, the serene neighborhood represents an area full of life, evidenced by the lush green vegetation. But beneath the tea plantations and agricultural abundance of this village is a scourge covered up, and one that has visited almost every home in the area. Now, we have traversed the entire Riaki village in Igembe South Constituency, Meru County, and the numbers of the affected and diseased persons are appalling, if not alarming. Just right behind me is a shop that belonged to a man who succumbed 2 years ago to cancer, and 2 of his neighbors to my right who have succumbed in the last 2 years. We are told that the 3 of them all succumbed to leukemia. And the question lingering in the minds of the residents of Riaki village is, why is it a cancer village? Why are the cancer cases so many? The Meru Level 5 Teaching and Referral Hospital is one of the primary sources of care and diagnosis for cancer patients in this county.
Meru is one of the very few counties outside of Nairobi who have a resident oncologist. We have an oncologist in Meru Level 5 who is able to handle the cancer patients for us who require medical management of cancer, which I'm talking about the issue of chemotherapy, we're able to do chemotherapy for what we call the solid tumors.
Despite the strides made in offering palliative care to cancer patients, the burden of this disease is still high, notably so due to the increasing prevalence due to late or wrong diagnosis.
Studies have not been done to really confirm the patterns, that is the distribution of these cancers. But like for ladies, we are having a high prevalence of breast cancer, followed by cervical cancer, and then for men, the cases that we are seeing most are the cancers of gastrointestinal system, ranging from oral cancers, esophageal cancers, and stomach cancers.
From 2011, I think you have screened over 5,000 clients, and they have got treatment. Over 100 patients have been treated here, and they have been cured.
For most patients, the Kenyatta National Referral Hospital is often where they end up seeking treatment. Data from the Kenyatta National Hospital indicates that about 5% of all cancer patients seen at the facility come from Meru, after Nairobi with 26.4%, Kiambu at 15%, and Murang'a at 6.6%. Dr. Catherine Nyongesa, an oncologist at the Kenyatta National Hospital, says the statistics are based on the origin of the patients.
The common things that could be attributing these cancer cases is use of chewing mirror. You know, Meru is a mirror growing area. So people who chew mirror, they also use tobacco. And they come hand in hand in combining and increasing the cases of the cancer. Use of alcohol, and then other things could be genetic, like no one knows the cause, but it could be running in families. There's some genetic issue that could be affecting people in Meru, but it's only research that can tell.
1,633 cases from Meru were reported at the Kenyatta National Hospital between 2015 and 2016 alone, a trend that is worrying. Following a public outcry over the increase in cancer cases in Riaki village, the Kenya Medical Research Institute KEMRI toured the area and made several discoveries.
We went to the village and we spent the whole day there. And we were received by the community, and what came out is that the community is aware that there's a problem. And we were happy to note that they think the problem is from within. So they have their own theories. They think the problem could be the water that could have been poisoned by a meteorite that fell in the area in the 1940s. And we actually confirmed it's true, a meteorite fell in that place in 1945. They also think there is a problem with the soil that could have been contaminated by bombs that were dropped during the Mau Mau uprising in the Nyambene Hills. They also think the problem could be the food they are eating. But they are not sure. But by interacting with them, we also realized that the community has gone through changes just like any other community in lifestyle changes, their diets, it could be what they're eating. But in a nutshell, we do not know what it is. So what we would want to do for going forward is that we would want to find out what exactly is the problem. But as we know, cancer is not caused by a single arsenal. There are multi-factors. But to just make sure that the community is at least at ease, because we realize there's a lot of anxiety.
At Amwamba Primary School in Igembe South, asbestos is still part of the roofing structure. Asbestos is a group of 6 naturally occurring fibrous minerals composed of thin, needle-like fibers. Exposure to asbestos causes several cancers and diseases, including mesothelioma and asbestosis, according to the Mesothelioma Center. According to the head teacher Silas Kidinji, this is part of the larger problem in this area.
Our major concern is asbestos roofs, which have continued also to pose a great danger, not only to the inhabitants of this school, even to the community around.
There were also issues of asbestos roofing in a school nearby. And for that one, the county leadership, we recommended that at least they take an initiative and remove all the asbestos roofing so that they can alienate the fear from the community.
With increased awareness, people actually come out for screening. In Meru County, we've so far done more than 5 screening programs in the last 1 year in different sub-counties within Meru, and we see very high numbers coming forward for screening. I think the big challenge also is that sometimes we ask people to come for screening, but when they go to the facility, they don't find those services there. So it's very important as well to ensure those services are available, because people don't want to travel very far.
The fact-finding mission established a need for research into the causes of cancer in Riaki and Kiegoi villages in Igembe South, Meru County. There has been an increase in cancer cases over the last decade in the country. Experts warn that lifestyle change and agricultural practices has contributed to the burden of cancer in recent years.
We are exposed to very, very dangerous pesticides, very toxic pesticides, toxic to us, toxic to the environment, pesticides that have ability to pollute water and stay in the environment for a very long time. And this, in a way, also explains generally, the rise in cancer cases, because again, we find these pesticides in residues. Studies done by KEFIS on fresh produce have identified very high levels of pesticide residues.
Meru County, a region which has for decades been one of Kenya's food baskets, has also not been spared from the use of harmful pesticides.
This is just a narrative to get us hooked and more hooked into use of pesticides. There are alternative methods to produce food. There are better ways to use pesticides which are safe and responsible, and that is what we should be advocating for as Kenyans. We are going to see a lot more of these cases if we don't take action, and it's very worrying if we look at the trend, because the farmers are just getting introduced into pesticide use. The levels of pesticide use are actually increasing, and this leads to more pollution in our water bodies, more destruction of our biodiversity, more destruction, more death to our bees, reduction of population of pollinators, and this is really detrimental to our food system.
While Kenya has a long way to finding a solution to this menace, more needs to be done in the way of research that addresses the health challenges faced by low and middle income countries in combating cancer, such as in Kenya.
We seem to be laying a lot of emphasis in building cancer centers. What is important about cancer is getting people who are specialized in various types of cancer. For example, at the Helen Diller Comprehensive Cancer Care Center, I found people who only specialize cancer of the arm, cancer of the neck, cancer of the head, cancer of the knee, na kadhalika. We have a long way to go, Mr. President. We really must invest on research and education and specialization.
The first thing we want to do as KEMRI is to really understand what is predisposing these cases from occurring, not just in Meru, but also across other counties where we are also doing similar studies. But for Meru specifically, we want to be able to find out why we are having high GI cancers, because most of the cancers we've seen here is GI. We want to really try and understand what are the risk factors specifically within the various communities in Meru County.
In the meantime, the only thing that residents of Riaki village cling on is hope.
Serikali iweze kuleta hii screening ya kansa karibu, ili angalau kila mtu akuwa anaenda kupimwa, mwenye ameathirika aweze kupata ndawa.
Serikali tusaidie kwa sababu tumewalia kila wakati, kila wasaa, lakini hawatuhudumii.
Ningependa serikali ya kitaifa iangalie ugonjwa, iutangaze ukue kama ni janga la kitaifa.
On the 4th of February each year, countries across the world come together to mark the World Cancer Day to raise awareness of cancer and to encourage its prevention, detection and treatment. According to the International Agency for Research on Cancer, the global cancer burden is estimated to have risen to 18.1 million new cases and 9.6 million deaths in 2018. 1 in 5 men and 1 in 6 women worldwide develop cancer during their lifetime, and 1 in 8 men and 1 in 11 women die from the disease. According to the Ministry of Health, Kenya loses 90 people to cancer daily. 47,887 new cancer cases are recorded annually, which translates to about 130 daily. Meru County government is planning the first mountain race in Africa, which will take place on Mount Kenya in February this year, with the name of raising funds for a Meru Cancer Institute in efforts to fight the disease. Of the cancer deaths recorded globally, 7.3% happen in Africa. Cancer is the third highest cause of morbidity in Kenya, with 7% of deaths per year after infectious diseases and cardiovascular diseases. Will there be a lasting solution to the incessant problem at Riaki village? Kenya still has a long way to go. George Maringa for Cancer Village, KTN News, Meru County.